I can have your attention up here for a few moments, please. Thank you very much for coming down for this afternoon's assembly put on by the Colfax EMS Association. Today's presentation is going to be very serious, and I'm going to ask you for your undivided attention out of respect for our presenters. I'm going to turn the microphone over in a few minutes to the Colfax EMS Association. They're going to introduce themselves. You're going to have a presentation, and then there are going to be some activities you'll be participating in at the end of that presentation. We will be doing that by homeroom. So at the end of the first part of today's activities, you will be grouped by homeroom, and you will be taking part in a few activities. So without any further delay, I'm going to turn things over to our afternoon's presenters.
Good afternoon. Oh, you guys know that. Good job. I'm Jessica Erickson. I am a physical therapist at St. Joseph's Hospital in Chippewa Falls, and I am part of the Colfax EMS Association at the Colfax Rescue Squad here in Colfax. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. Hi. Very good. My name is Travis Borson. I'm an EMT at Colfax, also in Bloomer and Chautauqua. I am a firefighter in Tilden and a plumber by day. So, a little busy. It's nice to meet you guys.
Hope you guys had a good lunch. My name is Tanner Tempest. I am also on the Colfax EMS Association and the ambulance. I'm on Black River Falls Ambulance, and I'm on the Chippewa Fire District as a firefighter. I'm going to school to be a firefighter and a paramedic. Hope you enjoy.
I'm also going to have our helpers introduce themselves today.
My name is Jen Miller. I'm a third-year physical therapy student at St. Catherine University in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm currently doing a clinical rotation with Jessica at St. Joseph's Hospital Rehab.
I'm too short.
Hello, my name is Ashton Wigman. I am a third-year physical therapy student at the College of St. Scholastica up in Duluth, and I too am doing an internship at St. Joe's Hospital, which is in the rehab department.
All right. So, I was going to tell you guys a little bit about what we have planned for you. Some of what we talk about is going to be on the PowerPoint presentation, and we are going to ask for lots of volunteers, okay? So I know nobody likes to volunteer for anything, but we have a little incentive for you. We got a couple of Visa gift cards, so it's basically like cash. We have two $25 gift cards to give away at the end, and some candy. And so everybody who participates when we ask for a volunteer will pick somebody, and you'll get a ticket, and at the end we'll draw out 2 winners for the gift cards and for the candy as well. And at the end we also have some time for you to ask questions, and if you ask questions, you also will get a ticket. So the more questions you ask and the more times you volunteer, the more chances you have to win. Okay, so we are here today to talk to you a little bit about distracted driving, and we decided to talk to Mr. Weber about coming down here to present to you guys because we work on the ambulance that serves your town, and we don't want to be coming to the scene of an accident where you guys are involved. We want you all to be safe and healthy. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about something that's on the rise, and it's a very, very bad thing that's been happening to a lot of our teens. So Travis is going to tell you guys what we're going to start with.
Okay, does everybody know what distracted driving is?
Yes.
Give me some examples. Texting and driving. What else? Eating, yes. Reading a book, yes. Facebook. Putting on makeup. Blow dryer, whatever. So we all know what distracted driving is, right? It's any activity that takes away the driver's attention from the road. There are 3 types of distractions that may occur while driving: visual, manual, and cognitive. A visual distraction is something that you physically take your eyes off the road and you're looking at. Could be outside, could be in the vehicle, any number of those things. Manual distraction is when you're actually doing something else, like blow drying your hair, like we talked about, maybe reaching for something or trying to put something together while driving. That's a great example of that. Cognitive distractions is when you take your mind off the action of driving or off the act of driving. That's cognitive distraction. 5 seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting. While traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to cover the length of a football field. How long is a football field? Very good. A texting driver is 23 times more likely to get into a crash than a non-texting driver. Using a cell phone while driving, whether it's handheld or hands-free, delays a driver's reactions as much as having a blood alcohol concentration at the legal limit of 0.08%. In 2009, 5,474 people were killed in U.S. roadways and an estimated additional 448,000 were injured in motor vehicle crashes that were reported to have involved distracted driving. 20% of injury crashes in 2009 involved reports of distracted driving. Everybody with a green star, green circle, stand up. Quietly stand up. All right, look around. This is 20% of the group here. 20% of the injury crashes in 2009 involved reports of distracted driving. You can sit down. Drivers who use handheld devices are 4 times more likely to get into serious crashes, enough to injure themselves. Of those killed in distracted driving related crashes, 995 involved reports of a cell phone as a distraction. 18% of fatalities in distraction related crashes. Orange circles, stand up. Quietly. All right, look around you. Quietly. 18% of fatalities. These are all deaths. You can sit down. 16% of all drivers younger than 20 involved in fatal crashes were reported to have been distracted while driving. Purple check marks. No. This is 16% of you. This is 16% fatalities. %60 of drivers use cell phones while driving. How many of you are old enough to drive? Raise your hand. How many of you use a cell phone while driving? Be honest. Okay. Orange check mark, stand up. I think from the show of hands we just saw it might be more than that, huh? Okay, sit down. 49% of drivers with cell phones under the age of 35 send or read text messages while driving. Blue circles, stand up. All right, everybody look around. That's more than half of you. It's almost half the room. Sit down. %22 of teens who drive while distracted say it makes driving less boring. Do you guys think driving is boring? No. Yes? Do you think there's other things you can do than text to make it a little less boring? Okay. Who has a yellow star? Stand up. Quietly. These are the ones that think it would be boring without texting. Sit down. Okay, 35% of teens who drive while distracted don't think they'll get hurt. Orange stars, quietly. Everybody look around. Okay, you can have a seat. 32% of teens who drive while distracted don't think anything bad will happen to them. Silver stars, stand up quietly. Okay, you sit down. 77% of young adult drivers are very to somewhat confident that they can safely text while driving. Green stars. All right, quiet. Everybody listen. This is almost all of you, okay? Think about that. You can sit down. 55% of young adult drivers agree that it's easy to text and pay attention to driving at the same time. Purple stars. Quietly. Just over half of you think it's easy to text and drive. You can have a seat. 36% of teens say have been involved in a near crash because of their own or someone else's distracted driving. Blue stars, stand up. Does anybody know what a near crash is? Possibly when you're driving down the road, you're looking down or you look away and you look up and you're swerving into another lane, you're touching a shoulder, you're almost hit a parked car, things like that. You can have a seat. Over 90% of teen drivers say they don't drink and drive. Pink stars. Quietly. Okay, stay standing. Stay standing. 9 out of 10 say they've seen passengers distracting the driver or drivers using cell phones. That's the same percentage of those of you that are standing up right now. So you've either witnessed it or been a part of it.
So what it's saying is that the 90% don't drink and drive. You know, we've talked about that. You guys are understanding the dangers of the drinking and driving. But on the same side, the same percentage still do distract the driver, use cell phones, or have seen the drivers using their cell phones.
Distracted driving is the #1 killer of American teens. You can sit down. Okay, everybody look at the chart up here. As you can see, the fatalities involving no alcohol have gone up over the last few years, over the last decade, you could say, even. So like Jessica was saying, you know, the teen drinking has gone down, at least as far as the statistics go, with fatalities involving blood alcohol levels above the legal limit amongst teens. So like I said, you guys are doing great with things like that. It's the more distracted driving, things that they're really worried about right now. How many of you have texted and drove a vehicle before? I have too.
Is it on? Okay. I see you guys already waving your hands. So I think we can all agree that we know texting and driving is bad. And that doesn't mean that it stops anybody from doing it. Can we turn it down so there's not an echo? So in this exercise, we're going to talk a little bit about that texting and driving and show you how it pulls your attention away from the act of doing something. So, Tanner, you want to select a volunteer to come on down?
Number 13.
Oh, Kyle. Everyone, good luck.
Okay. What's your name? Kyle? Okay. Kyle is going to do a little obstacle course for us. Okay? So, we're going to talk maybe not about texting and driving, but about texting and walking. Okay?
Whoa, don't run into the house. I did. Don't run into
But you cannot do that. Yeah. So what we're going to have Kyle do, okay? He has got a phone, and he's going to be typing the words to a song. And he's going to try to not hit anything. He's not allowed to look up. Oh, you missed that one. He can go around that way. Oh, don't look up. Pay attention to your texting. Oh, you missed it again. Okay, yeah, well, what if that was a kid? Keep going. Oh, you're driving too slow. I think the cop's going to pull you over because pay attention to your texting. Oh, you got to step over. Oh, look at you just hit that one. You just stepped on that one. Kylie, you just killed like 3 people. All right, thank you. We can collect your tickets from Ashton and Jen down there, and they have a little piece of candy for you too. Thank you for participating. Okay, so Kylie, all right, so we can all agree that, you know, maybe not everybody should text and walk. Yeah. You're driving a moving vehicle that has a lot more potential to do a lot more damage. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about someone that I met at St. Joseph's Hospital. Her name is Leanne. Okay, so in my work as a physical therapist, I get to meet a lot of people and spend a lot of time with them. But I can say that Leanne is probably the person I have spent the most time with as a patient over the last couple of years. And I've gotten quite close to her and her family. And we're going to talk a little bit about her story. Okay, so this is Leanne. Leanne went to Cadet High School. You can see in the picture, she's got softball there. And you guys have softball team? So Leanne was all-state for softball 1 year, and she was an honorable mention for the all-state team another year. She did anything that involved the ball, softball, football, basketball. She loved playing sports. Okay? Here's here. Here's a little fender bender Leanne had. Wasn't her fault actually though. She was driving and a gal pulled out from a driveway without stopping and looking and ended up hitting her car. You can see she's not very happy about that.
She looks happy.
Yeah, what is with that?
Okay. So here's Leanne. This is shortly before April of 2009. Leanne had graduated high school, had moved out, was living in Eau Claire, going to CBTC for the nursing program. Decided she was going to maybe take a semester off to decide what she wanted to do. She wasn't sure she wanted to continue on in the nursing program. She liked to go out with her friends, and they were going to go out dancing. So that brings me to April 26, 2009, 9:02 p.m. Leanne and 4 of her friends were in the Twin Cities. They were going to go to a club, and they weren't sure exactly where the club was located. So one of the girls was on the phone with her mom, trying to get directions. Someone else was monkeying with the GPS, getting ready to enter those directions. Leanne was in the front passenger seat of a car that was traveling through the cities. Do you guys know that in Minnesota, the stoplights are on the other side of the intersection? In Wisconsin, they're on our side, the same side of the intersection? Okay, so here's the intersection in point. See the stoplights on the other side of the intersection like I was talking about. Leanne was the passenger in this car. Okay, so you can see what happened to that car. It sustained a lot of damage in an accident. So with some distraction, the driver was not sure. We're not sure if she was trying to stop for the intersection, if she stopped in the wrong spot for the intersection or what. But at any rate, she was almost at a dead stop in the middle of that intersection that I showed you. when a semi at 35 miles an hour came down, didn't have any time to brake, and ran into Leanne's side of that car. Okay? So, in a matter of 10 minutes, here's the EMS crews and the fire crews trying to get all 5 of these girls out of this car safely. You can see them working to get them out. There's the semi. So you saw how little that car was. It shouldn't have done that much damage to that big of a vehicle, should it? But the semi was moving at enough force to push that car through a few city blocks. It hit 2 parked cars along the way, all with those girls trapped inside. This is the car sitting at the impulse line. There's nothing left of it, hardly is there? But now if I showed you a picture of the driver's side, not a lot happened to that side. Okay? So remember where I said Leanne was sitting right in the driver's side? And see if I could figure out the pointer. Right here? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what happens to our brain when we're in an accident or when we get injured. The brain, when you get hit, the force comes in and it'll cause the injury. But then your brain doesn't stop moving. It continues to move and bounces off the other side of your skull. So you have what we call the coup and the contra-coup injury. Okay? I'm going to show you a video of how this goes. So here you're looking at your brain. It's going to keep taking you down through the layers, so you have the white matter and the gray matter. Here's an injury coming down. So the brain hits your skull there where the injury is. The force of it causes your brain to continue moving and climb at the opposite side of your skull. And your brain kind of jiggles a bit and bounces back into place. So what that does is between the white matter and the gray matter, okay, we have these synapses, these junctions where the nerve impulse comes down. So you're going to see here in a minute the nerve impulse kind of coming down the axons. At that little jumbly mess of fibers is where it connects and sends the impulse right through there. Now with an injury, see it's stretching, kind of right there, causes the injury. So that axon is going to actually shear. So what that does, did it not show us? Okay. So what that does is it shears off the axons, okay, disrupts that signal, and there's no rhyme or reason to what signal it's going to disrupt. So it could be your ability to move your little pinky toe, or it could be your ability to talk, or your ability to walk, or eat, or swallow, or breathe. We don't know. So the picture on the left shows an MRI image of a brain, a regular, normal, healthy brain, okay? The picture on the right is an MRI image of a brain that has had a diffuse axonal injury, which is the type of injury that Leanne sustained in an accident. See all these little holes? That's where those axons have sheared off and the brain has died. So then those signals have to find a new way to get to where they were going before. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So that means that ability to move your little pinky toe may be forever lost, or it may just find a new path to get there. It could take a week, it could take a month, it could take 6 years. There's no way to know. It could never come back. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to someone. His name is Dwayne. Dwayne is Leanne's dad. He's going to come on and tell you a little bit about what life was like for them after Leanne's accident. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Here you go, Dwayne. I think this is done.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's not good.
Good afternoon. The night of April 26th, the wife had just gone to bed. I was watching the weather, and there's a knock on the door. And of course, as a parent, the worst thing you can look for when you open the door is to have a sheriff officer standing there. We had problems with both of our phones that day, so Hennepin County Hospital and the cities had been trying for an hour or better to get a hold of one of us. They couldn't, so they finally got a hold of Triple County Sheriff's Department and sent an officer over. And basically, first thing he did, looked at me and he just says, your daughter was in a bad accident, and the county has been trying to call you. And of course, right away I got the wipe up, and he called over there and found out that they honestly came out and said, we don't know if your daughter will be alive when you get here. So of course that was the longest drive to the cities. We stopped and picked my oldest daughter up if she was in school at River Falls. And when we got to Hennepin County, well, 3 times on the way over they called and kept saying, "Are you here yet?" or "How soon are you going to get here?" The nurse from the emergency trauma center was waiting for us at the front door and basically ran us to the intensive care unit. And I remember the exact words that she said. She said, "You know, your daughter was in an accident. We figured she was looking away, and we figured her brain did a quarter of a turn." He says, "and we do not know how bad her brain is scrambled." That was quote. So as a parent, that's, you know, you're just sitting there looking at your daughter and praying. Well, I was fortunate enough to have a good enough job that basically my wife lived in Minnesota for 5.5 months, 6 months. She was home only 3 days out of that 6 months. So and it seemed like every other day they kept describing they found more wrong and more wrong. I guess the only first good sign we got is when they said, well, they would do some surgery on her arm to try to repair the shattered bones. Because now after, I think that was a week after the accident, because they figure she might live. So, I mean, if this helps at all, that even one of you thinks a little bit and does not get distracted, and it just helps one of you not have the accident, it's well worth reliving it and talking about it. Because it's definitely nothing that any one of your parents would ever want to go through.
Thank you. All right, thanks, Lynn. So, can you imagine your parents going through that? Because of one moment in time, something like that happening? Okay, so you're probably wondering what happened to Leanne. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more. Here's Leanne. This is about a month after the accident. Vicki and Dwayne don't have any pictures of Leanne immediately after the accident with all the bells and whistles and tubes and wires, and it's a good thing because nobody wants to relive that. In this, you see Leanne, and she's actually in a coma. So when Dwayne was talking about that 5.5, 6 months that Vicki was over in the cities, that's where she was, by Leanne's bedside when Leanne was in this coma. She's got some towels in her hands to protect her range of motion and try to maintain it the best they can. You see her hands up by her face. That's called posturing. When we see that in the medical field, that's an indicator to us that it's a severe brain injury. That's one of the worst signs we can see. Okay, so there she is doing that posturing that I was telling you about, pulling your arms into her body. So in the accident, Dwayne told you they figured Leanne had looked away. She saw that semi coming, so she tried to get out of the way. She started bailing towards the back seat, tried to get out of the way, stuck her arms up, and shattered her one arm. She broke C1 and C2. That's your highest cervical vertebrae. It's way up here at the base of your head. When you do that, it's called a hangman's fracture. That's basically like an internal decapitation. If you move just wrong and those bones are broken, they're going to basically sever your spinal cord to a point where you would not survive that. So she had that. She had lots of fractures of the vertebrae. Her heart was contused. Her lung was contused. Of course, the cuts, scrapes, bruises. She had broken bones in her pelvis. What's called degloving injuries of the soft tissue. A lacerated liver. Vicki, am I forgetting anything? Okay. Here's part of the coma. You see, remember Dwayne said they fixed Leanne's arm. So here's after that surgery, but you can see her eyes are open. She's still in a coma here. when someone's in a coma, they don't just lay there and sleep peacefully. Their body actually fights. It's fighting that coma. Sometimes they have to be restrained and actually tied down to their bed so that they're not in their comatose state pulling out tubes, things like that. Leanne had no normal brainwave activity at this point, so she was just, her eyes would open and close, but for no rhyme or reason. It wasn't when someone would talk to her, things like that. At first, it was just a reflexive response. Here she's still in the coma. After the accident, with all of the trauma that Leanne's brain sustained, bouncing around in her skull, getting hit, and actually when she was going into that back seat, her head struck the eye socket of one of the girls in the back seat, causing more damage to Leanne and also some injury to that girl too. She also had a severe brain injury. You can see her cheeks are all flushed. She had difficulty regulating her body temperature because after that injury to the part of her brain that was damaged, her body could not control its own temperature. Okay, so about 5.5 months later, Leanne woke up out of her coma. Here she is in her bed. This is at Hennepin County in the cities, or excuse me, at Bethesda. So after she was at Hennepin County, she was transferred while she was in Center to Bethesda, which is a long-term care facility, a rehab center. And this is at Bethesda. Okay, now we're going to move on to our next exercise. Can we get a volunteer, please? Tanner, do you want to grab somebody? Just one. Alright, I want you to have a seat there. Okay. So you guys saw Leanne sitting up there, right? She couldn't do a very good job at feeding herself. Her arms didn't work as well. She described it to me as like trying to lift like 1,000 pounds or something like that. Something quite difficult. So Kayla's going to do something that Leanne's occupational therapist told me about. When Leanne was done at Bethesda, she was transferred over to Sacred Heart in Eau Claire. And one of the occupational therapists she saw there actually works with me at St. Joe's. Kayla, are you left-handed or right-handed? Okay, that goes on her left arm. Yeah. So Leanne was at Sacred Heart in Eau Claire, and the occupational therapist that I work with was telling me that Leanne was trying to eat something soft. She couldn't remember what it was, but something in the consistency of pudding. Here's our plate of pudding. And the therapist had it on a plate, and Leanne was trying to scoop it up off the plate, and for the life of her could not figure out how to get it off that darn plate. And it was very challenging. So we're going to do something to show Kayla a little bit about how that might feel for Leanne. Okay, so Kayla, I'm going to have you eat some of that pudding off the plate there with your left hand. You're not allergic to pudding. Hold the plate out a little bit further because you might be sitting at a table. Okay, I should get a bigger scoop than that. Yeah. Sure, but don't spill on your hands. Okay. Kayla, what's that like to try to get that off there? What do you feel like you're lifting? She says it's heavy. This weight only weighs 10 pounds. So Leanne told us she felt like it was like 1,000 pounds she was trying to lift. So she was working against it, not very coordinated. It was very challenging to try to eat that. How would you imagine trying to eat your whole plate like that? She said she wouldn't eat. Thank you. You can collect and take it from Ashton and Jen. All right. Okay. So, eating, trying to sit up, those are all among the struggles that Leanne faced in her road, her recovery. So here she is at Sacred Heart Hospital. Okay. See, she's sitting in a high back wheelchair. And we're going to get to that in a minute. Does anybody know what the sling is behind Leanne? Anybody? What the name for that is? Okay, it's called a Hoyer sling. A Hoyer sling is something that's used for when it's a total lift. A Hoyer is a total lift that you can use to help someone get from, say, their bed to to their chair or something, some other seating device or surface. So Leanne is sitting, she's got this Hoyer sling behind her because to get into her recliner, she needed that sling to carry her into that recliner. She wasn't able to sit upright at the time. When I first met Leanne, she couldn't sit in a regular wheelchair or a regular chair or on the edge of a bed or anything. She would fall over. That was way too challenging for her. So when I met Leanne back in March of 2009, March of 2010, nearly a year after her accident, she'd already been on this road to recovery for almost a year before I even came in contact with her for therapy. And like I said, she still couldn't sit up at that point. Okay? So, could I get another volunteer, please?
Who?
Yep, whoever just puts hand out.
Me.
Wait, me? Yeah, sure.
I hate you, man.
Okay, now, remember I told you Leanne had a real difficult time sitting. So her abdominal muscles were weakened after the accident, but her coordination, balance, all those signals weren't getting to her brain like they were supposed to. So we're going to simulate something. What's your name? Matt. Matt's going to demonstrate that for us. Yeah. So we're going to have Matt sit cross-legged on the top of this bosu. Don't fall over now. Okay. You get your... Okay, there you go. Okay. You got your balance? Okay. Get your balance. Lean forward. Leanne can probably attest to me, so you can tell her all the time. Lean forward. Okay. Okay. I want you to reach one of those cones from Jen over there. Reach out and grab it. Don't fall over. Okay, hand it to Ashton. How's that going, Matt? Okay. Reach forward and grab a phone from Jen. Hand it to Ashton. There you go. Okay, keep going. Now, Matt is showing you the wonderful skill of adapting. His body's learning how to do this, right? Okay. All right, you can stop. Good job, Matt. Okay. So, Matt was able to adapt to that exercise fairly quickly, and his body figured out how to do that. Remember that brain injury, though? What I showed you happened to the brain when Leanne was in her accident? So I have this brain here in the skull. Although our brains are even more like jello than this jello brain. You can kind of see, we can have Jen and Ashton bring it around so you guys can look at it. But when it moves, it's going to bounce off that, and it's going to cause a lot of injury to it. So after that injury that happened to Leanne's brain, she couldn't adapt just as easy like Matt did, where your brain just figures out where that signal needs to go and makes it happen. Remember, she's got all those holes in there that don't allow it to happen. Just want to bring that around. Okay, so Leanne has, even at this point, a year out after therapy, back in 2010, Leanne still had a long road ahead of her. Here's when she finally got to go home. So here's Leanne and her mom, Vicki. They're standing in their living room, and you can see all of those inspirational sayings that are painted on the wall. Her friends came over, sister, family, everybody did that to help cheer her on along the way. Here's Leanne working with Julie Conzen and Chris McCook. Both of them are therapists through home health at St. Joseph's Hospital. She had home health therapy prior to coming to outpatient therapy back in 2010. Here is Leanne with me at St. Joe's in our gym. She's standing in what's called some parallel bars. She was starting to learn how to walk. So you're going to get to see a picture of her first steps here. Here's Leanne's first step after that accident. This was early April 2010, almost a year to the day after her accident. Here's me and Leanne at the pool, doing some pool therapy, which Leanne hated. So she fought with me every tooth and nail to get her in there, but it was really important because we were trying to teach her body to learn how to work again. Okay. Tanner, you want to
Outside, right there, yeah.
Okay, Brittany is going to demonstrate for you. Go ahead and have a seat, Brittany. Brittany's going to demonstrate what it was like, kind of show you guys a little bit about how the ways Leanne was affected with trying to walk. Now, keep in mind, Brittany is walking, talking, able-bodied. She's able to get around. You saw how well she was able to walk up here. So this is still not going to be anywhere near as challenging for her as it is for Leanne. Okay, we're going to take back out our handy-dandy 10-pound weights. Okay, other leg, please. Okay. Get your bearings. Okay. So, come on over here. Tanner is going to toss the ball for you, and we want you to kick it a couple times. This is an exercise we did in therapy, only I didn't have to put the weights on the end. She already had a hard enough time with it as it is. Okay, Tanner, I want you to go ahead and roll the ball over here. Okay. And again, don't hit anybody. Okay. And Brittany, you made that look easy. You cheated. She's a soccer player. All right, is that easy to do though? Can you run across the stage here? Maybe. Okay, go ahead. Okay, come back over here. Okay, so is that easy? Yeah. Okay, go ahead and take them off. You want them off, right? Is that a little better? Now she says she's overcompensating. Thank you, Brittany. Okay. Here we go. This is about, I want to say, when you guys go back to Bethesda, was that 2011? Yeah. Was that early in 2011? So getting close, nearing on the 2 years after the accident. Here's Leanne and Dwayne and Vicki, and they are walking into Bethesda Hospital. Leanne's goal was always to walk into Bethesda. Notice how it takes two people on either side. Both Vicki and Dwayne had to be there, and Leanne physically wasn't able to stand or walk. Now here we sit, it's October 2012, and Leanne still needs two people to help her walk. Okay, I'm introducing you to someone very special, just to tell you a little bit about what brought her here. Come on up. Yeah, and we're all in the middle. All right, everybody, here's Leanne. Can you turn it up a little bit from the mic? Try it again, I don't think they heard you. Hello. Hi. Hi. There, I think they heard you now. Yes.
What I have to say is, whatever you do, don't text and drive.
Don't text and drive. Don't. Ever.
And don't get distracted either.
Why not?
Enough like me.
Well, that's okay. What happens if we end up like you? What do you want to tell them?
You're getting hurt really bad. Oh, there's a possibility that Andrew do it.
Just keep the possibility. What's that? Let me catch up.
There's a possibility of getting hurt.
There's a possibility of getting hurt really bad.
Like me.
Like Leanne. What do you want to tell these kids about the road that you face and still face every day?
It's hard. That's all I know. It's really hard.
Yeah? What's a typical day like for you?
I get up, do therapy, then do more therapy,
Wanna do more
and more therapy,
And more therapy. Now Leanne is
then I go to
done.
bed.
And then, do you ever eat in there?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. So Leanne is done with therapy with us at St. Joe's, but that doesn't mean it's done for her at home. So how many hours a day would you say you spend doing therapy or exercising?
At least 2 or 3 or
Yeah.
4
2 or 3 or 4?
or more.
Or more. You have a home gym set up?
Yeah, I do.
What's different about your life now than before the accident?
You have to think about what you're doing before you do it.
You have to think about what you do before you do it. What else?
Like going to a movie or anywhere, gotta make sure the handicap's accessible.
So anytime you want to go to a movie or do anything, you gotta make sure it's handicap accessible. What else? Do you still talk to any of those girls that you hung out with before?
Sadly, no.
Sadly, no. No? Yeah. Do you ever just go to the movies with your friends or anything like that? Go to the mall?
Gotta know,
No. Why not?
because I can't get in,
Can't get in. Why not?
because I'm freaking wheelchair.
Anything else you want to tell these guys?
Just be safe. That's all I say. Just be safe. Don't do it to your parents either.
Don't do it to your parents either. No,
Because that sucks.
because that sucks. What's the hardest thing been for you throughout all this?
Seeing my mom cry.
Yeah. Anything else? I know. I hear it. What else?
Just everything else. Just walking, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Should we keep going? Okay. Anything else you want to say right now? Okay. So Leanne's going to stay out here with us for the rest of the presentation. Okay. So we would like another volunteer. All right. So not only is the physical stuff hard, some of the mental stuff is hard too, isn't it? So concentration, memory, just even coordination and using your brain power to complete an activity. Yeah. So we are going to bring, what's your name? Justin? Okay. Justin is going to do a little cognitive activity for us here. All right. Justin, under here is a maze, okay? Use a pencil. Okay. Now, you're not allowed to look at the maze through here. I just want you to look at it through this mirror, okay? You can hold the maze with your other hand so the paper doesn't slide around, but that's it. Okay, now go ahead. So while Justin's doing that, I'm going to show you. Justin's going to do this maze with a pencil. But he's looking through a mirror, and that's all that he's able to see. He can't see the maze like he's looking down at it. This is to show what it's like to try to, when you have a brain injury, this can happen even just from a concussion. So all the football players, soccer players, keep that in mind. Even something as simple as a concussion can make this type of stuff difficult for you. So, Justin is completing the maze. How's it going, Justin? He says it's hard. Justin, what if you were taking a test and the teacher was trying to time it? You better hurry up. He can't figure out where he's supposed to go on the maze. Are you almost at the end? I think the bell's gonna ring. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, and the school bell rang. Okay, the teacher says you have to put your pencil down and turn in your test. Can I have it, please? Justin, the bell's already rang.
You won't be late to class.
No, there's a rule against that. I need a maze. Don't give it up. Come on. All right. Justin, you can see the ladies here for your ticket. Can you guys see Justin's vase here? I'm going to pass it around so you can see it. Justin, how was that? He said it was kind of scary. Yeah, it's very challenging. Yeah. So Leanne told me when he was studying that she would second that. Okay. At this time, we're going to split off. We're going to do a couple different activities. We have a rollover simulator set up outside. What it's going to do is show you what it's like for someone inside the vehicle when a rollover occurs at different speeds and seatbelted versus non-seatbelted. The rest of you are going to stay in here and we're going to ask Leanne some questions, or you can ask questions of me or of Leanne's parents who are also here. So what we'll do is, Lizzie's going to dismiss them in groups. Okay, so they're going to tell you which group is going to go outside. The rest of you are going to stay in here. If you have a question, you remember you get a ticket and a chance to win your Visa gift card. If you have a question, I'd like you to come up here and start a line, okay? So, you want to tell them what group?
All right, thank you very much. How about a nice hand for the first round of the presentation? For this afternoon's interactive portion with the rollover simulator, you will be dismissed by homerooms. We will be starting with homeroom 12A. You will be exiting the auditorium and you will be going straight outside the main entrance doors. Once homeroom 12A is done, homeroom 12B will follow, followed by 12C, 12D, and 12E.
All right, so those of you that are not leaving, can I please have your attention? Like I said, I would like you to start a line up here with questions, okay? I know you guys must have some, so let's just ask them and get it over with. We're all very, very willing to hear your questions and ready to help answer them. Okay, yeah? Okay, who is your question for? Is this for Leanne? Okay.
When were you able to start talking again?
I have no idea.
We were just discussing this actually. Leanne does not remember anything after the end of her junior year. So her senior year of high school, graduation, all of that, gone. Vicki?
Shortly after she woke up, but so quiet we couldn't get her.
Okay, thank you. Still very quiet, as you notice. I'm going to turn the microphones off for a second so you can hear Leanne without the microphone. Or you can, actually, do you want the microphone? You can tell them. Okay. Remember we sang Twinkle Twinkle Little Star last time? Do you want it or no? Okay. Did you guys in the back hear her? What song was she singing? She was singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So let's let you hear that again.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky.
Thank you. Okay, this one's also for Leanne.
Okay, Leanne, I just wanted to ask, were you in college after, before the accident happened?
I was by Jacob Creek.
She was, but she had taken a break at that time. Yep, she was going to go back, yep. She just hasn't decided what for yet. Yeah. Thank you.
My question's for Leanne.
Okay.
What's the first thing you remember after the accident?
I have no idea actually. I'm sorry.
Okay, do you remember being at Bethesda? She said, I remember Toy. And Toy was a male CNA that worked at Bethesda Hospital. So he was very good looking.
He was an exception. He really, anything she needed at any time, he went out of his way to make sure she was comfortable. I mean, he was definitely a special individual.
And so part of their trip back to Bethesda was to try to see Toy. Did you get to see him when you went back? No, he wasn't there then. He wasn't there.
It's kind of for everyone. If you could go back to that day, what would you change?
Going to cities. Or suffer.
So not going to the cities. But we all know we can't turn back time. So what do you hope to, you can't go back and change anything. So what do you hope to, looking forward, what do you want to do with everything that's happened?
Inspire people not to drive or do anything like that.
So Leanne wants to inspire people not to be distracted driving, texting and driving, things like that. Thank you.
This question is for the parents. What was the the hardest thing during while Leanne was in the coma?
Passage of time, it seemed to last forever. One day to kind of run into the next.
Vicki was actually telling me a little bit about when Leanne was in a coma. One of the other girls that was in the accident was also pretty severely injured, so they were in the same surgical intensive care unit next to each other. And so the doctors and the people that were helping them would make rounds. And they'd only come at certain times of the day. There's all these different teams. So whenever you had a question, you had to ask the right team. So Leanne and the other gal's mom took turns in doing, they all took turns watching each other's children and making sure that the parent, when they'd say, oh yeah, they're here, come on in, so to make sure that they were there at the right time to ask the right questions. So I know that that was also very hard.
Only allowed in there like for 5-10 minutes at a crack, and then you would shoot out, and then you go back in, and standing room only.
Okay? Thank you.
A lot of it also was the couple times when the doctors basically asked us if we should seriously consider pulling the feeding tube. And that was before. But of course, the mother says absolutely no way, we're not giving up on our daughter. And doctors, a couple of them questioned her a little bit, but there was no way she was going to give up on her. So.
We're glad she did. Yes.
My question is for Leanne. What's been the scariest part of this for you?
I'm going to let her tell you that one.
Being with her.
Is that for real? Is that your honest answer? What's your real answer?
Just living every day. That sucks.
Just living every day. It's going through every day, learning the new stuff all over and over, learning what you can easily do and can't so easily do, and trying to adapt things so that you can keep doing everything you want to do. It's not being with me.
Okay, my question's for you. How many accidents have you seen involving texting and driving?
Well, myself, I've only been on the Colfax rescue for about 2 years now. And I would say that the majority of my experience has been with medical patients, but there definitely has been cases where there's been not so much texting and driving, but distracted driving. And I would say it was June 16th of last year, there was a really, really bad one of a distracted driver. And that person is now in a wheelchair afterwards. She suffered not a brain injury, but more so a spinal cord injury, and that's forever changed her life. She was a very active individual and was a nurse prior to that. The other thing I want to point out is that you might have heard about some of the distracted driving, texting and driving accidents in the news. They tend to make the news. But working at St. Joe's, we just had a couple encounters where about 2 years ago, down in Chippewa, there was a girl that was driving a car, and some of her friends were in the car, and somebody was fixing the driver's necklace, kind of trying to do something with the driver's necklace. And the only person that survived that crash was the driver. And then I'm sure you guys recently heard about that tragic accident involving eight people down in Chippewa, where 2 of them were killed. Of course, that had drinking and driving related, but also that driver missed a stop sign on a busy intersection. So it doesn't take anything more than just 1 minute, but that's a good question.
My question is for you in the end. With the Gabby Gifford incident, they had used, and on PBS, I heard about the incorporation of music and brain recovery, have you utilized that?
Well, we haven't used it so much per se. We've done a lot of different things in therapy though.
At Bethesda, they had a gentleman that went around to the rooms and he would play, be it his guitar, his fiddle, whatever he brought in. And they would just come in and just sit and play.
And at St. Joe's, I can tell you what we did. Lots of things Leanne didn't like. I used to have a picture in the slideshow, but it was really grainy, so you couldn't see it very well. But Leanne can now use her arms pretty well, and her right leg very well. Left leg, not so much. So whenever I would ask her to propel her wheelchair with her legs, Leanne would use her arms or her right leg, not her left leg. So I taped her hands together, like that, and taped her right leg to her chair. So all she had left was her left leg. And so we use a lot of non-traditional things. No. She called me a name. Thank you.
My question is for Leanne.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you still plan on following your goals and what you hope to do in the future despite what happened that day?
Yes, I do. I want to go to college, so.
And so would you say that maybe your goals and aspirations have just changed a little bit now?
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
I guess my question's for you. You did kind of mention there were other people in the car at the time with her.
Yeah.
What all happened then?
Yeah. And I didn't talk about it a whole lot, and there's a reason for that. I didn't talk about it a whole lot because we don't really know a whole lot. We know that all the girls in the back seat were injured. 3 of the girls in the back seat and Leanne were all in intensive care for some period of time. The driver had some cuts and scrapes, but one of the girls that Leanne hit heads with had a pretty severe brain injury as well, just not to the severity of Leanne's. What we do know now is that all of those girls lead independent, normal lives. They all have some degree of injury that will remain with them and affect what they do, but all are able to drive, go to school, go with their friends, do whatever they want without having to live with their parents or have caregivers or anything like that. But Leanne says she does. Yes. Thank you.
My question is for Leanne. Before the accident, I'm sure you had some favorite activities or something that you would like to do. Now afterwards, with your life now, do you still do any of your favorite activities from before?
Speak. I went hunting. I do that.
And what was the result of your hunt?
I got buck.
And I know Leanne she likes a 6-pack and a pound from Taco Bell, and she still gets to go there and have that. What else? Occasionally. And gardening she does a lot of with her family, and what else do you guys do? Thrift sailing, buying storage units, movies, those kinds of things. The mall's kind of out though for going into stores because it's too hard to get in and out of it's too hard to get in and out of there.
But from an individual that went from, say, coma, no normal brain activity for 5 months, she always wanted to play Uno. And the wife finally got fed up with it and says, you're going to learn a new card game. If you've ever played cribbage, cribbage is one of the games that is not that easy to learn. In less than 2 weeks, she picked up and now, basically, I don't even want to play cribbage with her anymore because she beats you all the time. I mean, so from a coma and basically no normal brain activity to being able to, recover back that far and be able to play card games and learn them in a very short period of time. She's our miracle.
Thank you.
My question is for everyone, and I was wondering if it's difficult for you to do these presentations.
Well, for me it's not, because I do this as part of my job, and I have no problem talking in front of people, but Vicki is shaking her head no, and I'm sure it's because she wants me to share with you guys that I've worked with this family since March of 2010, and I have seen Vicki cry more in the last 2 weeks than I have seen in that whole time. Reliving some of the stuff is really hard. I've sat with Leanne and Vicki, Dwayne, Jenny, Leanne's sister, Curtis, her boyfriend. We've cried, we've laughed, we've joked, we've sworn, we've done all kinds of things. So we've lived out a lot of those emotions, but still seeing the pictures, listening to the story, you can see it still impacts them. I'm going to let Leanne answer though for her.
Yeah, it's hard.
Good editing. She was going to use another word. But it's something we had talked about multiple times prior to the presentation that we wanted to do and wanted to share Leanne's story, and so they've been very brave and come out and share.
Help everyone. Help everyone.
She wants to help everyone else too. So thank you. And save people's lives.
My question is for Leanne. If I had told you I had a kind of cure to bring you back to your original physical and mental state, would you take it?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay? Why yes?
Yes, because I want to go back to how it was. You know, because I'm skeptical.
Because why?
I'm skeptical.
No, because she's skeptical. And yes, because of, she wants to, of course, be back to how it was. Yeah. Now, would you change the experience you got out of this?
No, not at all.
Why?
Because I got to meet you.
Because she got to meet me. Why else?
Because I get to share with everyone my experience.
Yeah. Very good.
My question is for Leanne's parents. When you were at the cities for about 5 or 6 months, where did you stay? Did the hospital set something up?
For the first 2 weeks, we slept in the waiting room at HCMC. I spent a couple weeks at, I believe it's a nursing home, which is 3 blocks from the hospital downtown Minneapolis. Not that you did much there other than fall in bed and go to sleep. Then I spent 3 months in River Falls. Took over my oldest daughter's apartment when she wanted to move. It worked out well. And I spent a month in Stillwater. And then a month in the old nurses' chapels up in Midway, just off University. Just basically little apartments. Just some place to sleep. It was quite spendy. It was what happened to what we had in savings. But I'm glad I had savings.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, my question's for Leanne and her parents. I'm wondering, what was it like when Leanne came out of her coma?
Okay. Leanne doesn't remember, so I'm going to do you want to answer, Vicki? You want Dwayne to answer? Okay, so we're gonna let Dwayne answer because Vicki wasn't there.
Well, I wasn't at the hospital at the time either, but during this whole time, my wife was home for 3 days out of the 6 months for legal purposes. So the last time when she came home, the oldest daughter was there with her. And of course, they were always trying, talking to her and having her do this and that. And we had many times, I don't know how many times, I had to run because she had the problem she had. She had pain, her temperature would go up, her heart rate would go up. So phone rings, and it's the oldest daughter, and she's screaming. And I'm going, what in the is going on now? And she just says, I just had the nurse come down too. I asked her to move her little finger, and she moved it. And she's run and got the doctor, the nurse, brought the nurses down, the aides, everybody that she could get her hands on and says, well, watch this. Asked her again, and she moved her finger again. So that was probably one of the quickest trips back to the cities that the wife made. But that was the happy trip back and not normal types that we went through for 6 months.
Thank you.
Okay, this is for the parents. What was your initial feeling when you saw an officer at your house?
Your heart drops on it. It's the worst, you know, you always see everything they always talk about, the worst thing a parent could have. So, you know, the movies have it where you open the door and there's a police officer there. But it's always the other person. You know, it's never me, it's the other person. But when you open the door and it is you, it's just, there's no explaining how, you know, how you actually feel. You just kind of go numb. And for a second, and then you get to, you know, let the wife know, and then after that, we just had to do what we had to do.
Thanks.
This is for all of you guys. Do you plan on going to other schools and sharing your story with other students?
Well, we were at Colfax last week and shared the same story. And at this point in time, we don't have any others scheduled, but it's something that we've talked about, and if we can make it work, we definitely would be open for doing that and sharing it with other people as well. Leanne definitely would like to. She wants to get the word out there and help inspire other people.
My question's for Leanne, and it's kind of two parts to it. I'm wondering, like, how you got through the stay at the hospital, because I can barely stand like a week, and how you're getting through it now. Like, what's your motivation?
Okay, so let's answer the first part. So you remember being at Sacred Heart, right? Parts of being at Sacred Heart? No? Okay, so do you remember when you had your hip surgery? That hospital stay? No? So part of it helps us if she doesn't remember the hospital stay, but she's got these guys, and Jenny, and everybody that comes and visits, and her family and us. We want to make sure that she's good to go. So Leanne had a hip surgery about a year into therapy to remove some extra bone growth in her hip. And so I went down. I was fortunate enough to be able to go watch it. But you only had to stay in a day or two for that one. So she doesn't remember, fortunately, most of the hospital stays. Okay, what is your motivation to keep going now, though?
I just want to get better. That's all.
Yeah. Just get better. And Leanne works very hard, and thanks to her parents, they're quite a remarkable family. This is not typical of what we see in our patients and their families. They would do anything. They'll adapt to anything at home. If we give her a therapy exercise, they will do whatever they can to make sure Leanne can do that at home.
I want to thank my parents. They're the best people in the world.
I agree. Thank you.
My question's for Leon, but I don't know if she remember. But well, how was your reaction when you first woke up?
So, what was your reaction when you first woke up?
Where it was.
Trying to figure out where you were?
Because I had no idea what was going on.
After her coma, when you wake up, you're not this alert person. Like, okay, it's Tuesday and I'm here and I'm doing this. Your mind is still in a fog. So today she'd know you, the next day she wouldn't. Today she could tell you what time it was, and the next day she couldn't.
Okay, thank you.
I have a two-part question. Before the accident, were you and your sister close?
Very close.
And are you still close now?
I'd say closer, probably.
Yeah, we're closer. But she's so far away now.
Yeah. Leanne's sister moved to Colorado with her boyfriend about 6 months ago. Over a year. Oh, time's gone away from me. So they are living in Colorado now. So Leanne actually 2 weeks ago got back from visiting them out there. But yes, they are still very close.
Okay, this is for Leanne. How come you don't keep in touch with the people that you were in college?
Do you want to answer or do you want me to answer?
Because they don't care.
Because they don't care.
They don't care, it's that their lives have moved on and hers hasn't. She can't do what they do.
You haven't talked to the driver.
Because I do these. They just these. That's it.
Yeah. She moved away, so she hasn't talked with her. But other than that, Not really, no, just don't maintain contact anymore. Thank you. Are we getting up close to the end of the day? Okay.
Folks, we are approximately 5 minutes away from the end of today. There is a possibility for you all to go out and watch the rollover simulator en masse. However, if you want to see the simulation, it will be available after the school day in the parking lot for a few moments as well. So if you would like to see the rollover simulation, you are welcome to go to the parking lot and do that at this time, but it will also be available after school hours.
I'm going to draw, so those of you with tickets might want to hang on, okay? I'm going to let Leanne draw. So first, Ashley, you want to bring the candy up? We're going to draw for those $25 Visa gift cards. Okay, so the first one, yeah, I think the other half should be in here. Yep. So hang on to your tickets. All right, so then the winning number of the first Visa gift card is 2524344. Come on up and collect your ticket. Okay, Leanne's going to draw another one. Thank you. Yep. All right, so the second Visa gift card is 2524333. All right, come on up. All right, now we have some candy for those of you that have tickets to go finish up real quick. Thank you. Oh, and can we get the brain? Oh, it's right there. Yep. Okay, so you can collect your candy from Ashton. Ready? Here we go. We're going to go fast. 2524338. 2524334. 2524367. 2524370. How many more do I have, Ashton? Okay, 2524336. 3 more. Okay. 2524339. 2524368, and the last one is 2524378. Thank you all for your kind attention. And let's give Leanne a round of applause.
He had contact. I'll never know.